John Mateer listed as probable for the Red River Shootout on Saturday. Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, here with my co host, Chris Mason from Sooners 360. Okay, Chris will be along momentarily. If you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell. You don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame College Football. What's up, guys? What's up, Mr. Mason? Big news just hit the screen a few minutes ago.
It did. About a half hour ago.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Let's get into it. Probable. I didn't really expect for it to go there. I figured they would stay as questionable at best, possibly. Even I don't know. It doesn't seem weird. Does it sound like maybe the SEC was saying don't be bullshitting?
Yeah, I wonder if perhaps that's a little bit of what's gone on.
Oh,
Perhaps that OU just decided that they felt like he was close enough that saying just truth in advertising, right? Or maybe OU just wanted to screw with the sports books and have them have their line change again for the third time this week. Um, so let's just recap what we sort of have heard and know. Okay, so we know from multiple. I heard from a source. George Stoya posted this early in the week that last week John Mateer was throwing tennis balls around, and that on Friday he started to throw the football around. Then obviously, multiple sources got wind of the fact that he was sort of practicing on Monday. And obviously, OU's been practicing inside all week, suspiciously. I mean, that could just be regular. That just could be Texas paranoia playing a role. I mean, even if our quarterback was healthy, I could see Venables trying to build that environment up a little bit. But obviously, he's been practicing, and he started out the week. Yesterday he was questionable, and now he's probable. So to the best of my information, and again, if someone wants to say that's wrong, that's not correct. I'll certainly defer to someone else if they have better info. But to the best of my information, Mateer needed to get cleared by the doctors on either Wednesday or Thursday, and I believe that was going to be some kind of a Zoom call with Dr. Stephen Shin. Because obviously he's not flying to California and back with everything that's going on. That would have that doesn't seem logistically possible. So, and based upon him being probable, I'm guessing that he has gotten a tentative cleared from Dr. Shin. Yes, you can play if X and X are that you can manage. You can manage.
Practicing and throwing footballs all week and throwing the ball around if he wasn't already cleared, would he?
Well, I mean, I don't. But they needed 2 weeks from the surgery, I think, for Shin to do a proper evaluation of where he was.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but OU Medical was going to defer to Shin and say whatever Dr. Shin said is good in terms, but he's got to get an MD's got to clear him from this, and obviously they went with Dr. Shin in terms of what he would say. So I'm guessing he's gotten some kind of a preliminary clearance from Dr. Shin saying, well, if you can manage this and manage that, as long as you can manage these elements,
Yeah.
and these are the confines, yes, you're cleared to play. So someone has surgery, they got to get cleared to play from somebody, right? I mean, just that's the process we hope is in place with the new NFL guys that we have, right? The cleared to play guys, the rehab guys. We're hoping that's kind of a process that's got to be. So,
Well,
that's
the question here. If he's not 100%, why would you take a chance on him suffering more damage? Seems foolish, according to Richard Young here. And I gotta say, I mean, with the way
Uh,
that they match up, best defensive line, probably the worst offensive line, it seems a little risky to me.
well, I mean, we don't know that this is a situation where he, barring somebody from Texas literally just trying to rip his thumb off in a huddle, that he can actually that he can do more damage to it. Right? We don't know that that's the case. That the surgery has the screw and the splint, as I understand it, have based upon X-rays for him to be cleared, will have had to have basically worked. I mean, we're in. I mean, again, this is the problem. We're in some pretty mucky territory orthopedically because I'm not an orthopedist and I don't have his X-rays. Nobody has his X-rays. It's funny. So, is it a risk? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is, but football's a risk. So I think OU's obviously weighing this. They're saying he's probable. They could take him off the injury list and he could still not play. I mean, you could go with Hawkins if game day Brent feels like no, you're not warm ups. You don't look right. We're going to go with Hawkins instead. So I think this thing could go all the way to 2:15 Central Time at the Cotton Bowl. So, but we've gone from a situation where if he was out, it would have come out Wednesday night. He would have been declared out if there was no chance for him to play. OU would not have. OU could not have. OU can't play these games where they say he's he's questionable, where he's there's all kinds of you just can't play games with this injury report the way Bill Snyder used to play injury games, and Bob used to be sort of weird about injuries as well. There's an injury report. You got to be fairly transparent on this, and there are rules about how you have to operate. So, I think, I think he'll play.
I think it's a thing is that obviously, if he's been practicing
Yeah,
and doing that kind of stuff, and I mean, I think it got wind of it. They don't want to mess with the lines, and like make them think. Look, with the way that they were acting after the damn Auburn game about cheating and all this other shit, it's probably it feels like something that could have come down from the SEC to me.
yeah. That's the SEC. Just, I mean, it's a big game, right? It's a 2:30 prime time, afternoon game. Mateer playing obviously, and the suspense around him playing sort of amp the since Texas shit the bed against Florida. The biggest news story about this game is Mateer. I mean, it's nothing about Texas. It's all about whether OU's quarterback can play or not. The only Texas stories are who's to blame for them, being number one in the nation preseason and no longer in the top 25. So it's not much about not much about the OU Texas game. It's more about what Texas has done prior. So, yeah, I think you're judging a whole lot of risk reward here, right? And I just don't have the information to know where Brent is on that risk reward. Obviously, a Texas win would make Brent 2-2 against Texas, would shut up a lot of people. Whereas a Texas loss, you're 3-1 against your biggest opponent. You're kind of giving Texas a lifeline for their season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they'll actually do anything with a lifeline this season, but maybe they will. You never know. College football teams, go on weird winning streaks and all that. It's in the realm of possibility. So I don't know, and it's funny because I saw Josh Pate, and Josh Pate was talking about how Texas had more motivation, like because they're desperate.
Stupidest shit I've ever heard, by the way.
Their backs against the wall. So from that perspective, and I'm just like I don't think. I like Josh Pate. I think he does a good job promoting college football. He does a good job on his show. He's pretty balanced, but I just think he's missing something about OU Texas, that both teams are completely motivated. Both teams are in desperation mode to win this game. So from that perspective, But we should ask K Chris what he thinks about playing Mateer now that he's probable.
Welcome into the show, K. Chris.
Here I am, people. How you guys doing? Y'all, everybody excited? Everybody good out there? Huh?
It's like Christmas Eve. It's like Christmas Eve.
We've had to endure all the Texas talk about us. We haven't really heard anything about their team, but we've had to hear everything about us and more. Look, people, Saturday. Saturday is no longer a test. What it is can OU go put the final nail? No, what? You know what? Put it like this right here. If Jason said, "Hey, Chris, we just need to go put a nail in the coffin," I tell Jason, "Open the coffin up. Let's put a stake through his effing heart. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and put this bitch out of her misery today. Okay, we're done. I'm done. I'm tired
After,
of playing with
a-
Texas. I'm tired of playing with all their orange bloods and all the rest of that stuff. Bevo's bodyguard. I'm tired of playing with them. Let's go ahead and put them out of misery. Send them back home 3-3, and let's do what we need to do." But to the question that was asked, do we play Mateer? I think you play Mateer. I think all along, kind of what we've been talking about behind the screen, all the rest of the stuff, we've been kind of preparing for this. I think that if he's probable, if he can give it a go, you let him go out there and play on his terms. If he can't go, if it appears that the hand is a problem, anything like that, pull him. We got bigger fish to fry. But at the same time, I do believe that Hawkins can get it done. I think playing behind his defense, I think that you have a chance this year. And the fact of the matter is that we really have the depth this year. Last year, we had a lot of the same guys, but at the same time, maybe they just weren't ready. But this year, they are. So again, on that defense, you have the depth. So I don't see, us basically getting gassed in that second or third quarter. I don't see that being an issue. But at
Nope.
the same time, got to go handle business. A lot to do. But if Mateer can play, guys, I don't have a loser mentality. I think that you let him go out there and play in a big game that he wants to play in, and adrenaline is going to be pumping, all the rest of that stuff. If it looks sloppy, if it looks bad, or anything like that happens, or it goes south on us, got to pull him and get him ready for everything else after that. But with that being said, if the kid is probable, if the kid has been in there doing what he needs to do to get ready for this game and be prepared, do what you got to do. You got to let them go and play. And I mean, you got to put it in your players' hands. Big time players are going to make plays. And the thing is that, again, with all, I think some of the Texas fans and some of the national media have put the narrative out there that, oh, well, beating a bad Texas team doesn't mean anything. Bull crap. Okay. At the end of the day, this is a good Texas team. They still have some good qualities, some good things that they can do. They can hurt you given the opportunity. You have to take it from them. You have to force them into obvious situations and make Sark call a full game, not just a half of a game, right? So at the same time, it is what it is. It's a rivalry game. A lot of things happen. I know we have our expectations. I was looking at those earlier, but again, I'll pass the mic. But yeah, if Mateer is able to play, gotta play.
Yeah, and I would say that huge game, and it's crazy that Pate said what he said about that they need it more. I think that's in terms of making the playoff, sure. But when you lost this game a year ago and you've lost badly to them 2 of the last 3 years, nobody needs it more than Brent Venables. So if you're going out there, and if you're taking that and look, that obviously is coming from a guy that doesn't understand the reality of what the Red River means on either side of the Red River.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you want to go out there and drive that stake through their heart, as you said, get it
Mhm.
done. Let's go.
If
Um,
I could say,
now,
if
what I would say is, I will preface some of that with saying, look, I believe that you've got better teams on the schedule coming down the pike. I'm good with going with him, but if there's a chance that you could re-injure him in this situation because you're being reckless, I should say,
I,
this is the kind of thing that gets coaches fired. You know,
I get it, but I think the thing is just the who the surgeon is, what we've heard about it, as far as it not being like a Bennett fracture, different things like that. Obviously, I'm no doctor, I'm no scientist. I don't, I'm a lawyer, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I have that knowledge. But lawyers, we like to try to act as though we have knowledge about every subject matter, right? Regardless, though, Jason, it's just one of those things. If you can give it a go, let them give it a go. If it shows early, that there are signs there where, hey, like we need to pull him, you have that luxury. I think that Hawkins can help, can get it done. But at the end of the day, with the surgery, with all those different things, and the thing that you got to remember. So, see, I'm really optimistic simply
Yeah,
because thing is that he's had 17 plus days to heal from this. So
true.
it's not like he's just coming back a week and a half, maybe even just 2 weeks. He's had damn near basically 3 weeks to kind of heal this thing, get everything going. And everybody's body heals differently. So if his hand and all the rest of the stuff and his doctor said he's clear, hey, there's only one way to find out. But at the end of the day, got to have good protection, got to have all these different things. But if you don't think that they're going to call a game that way, then you're sadly. I think that he's going to be fine. But at the end of the day, I get what you're saying, but that's just where I stand. I like hey, it's all or nothing, man, this year, simply because people's jobs are on the line still some things. And going back to your point, Jason, just real quick before we pass it to Chris Mason or back to you, I'll say this right here. Going back to your point about BV, all three of us said this winter ball, spring ball, summer ball, fall ball. We said, hey, there are three games on the schedule early on that BV has to have: Michigan, Auburn, and Texas.
Yeah.
So at this point here, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. We got to have these games. And again, I'd rather be 6-0 than be 5-1. I want to be in that winners column every time, and we have a great chance to go out here and put on a show and let everybody know, regardless of what Texas is. It's a rivalry game. Respect your opponent. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, there were three games that we talked about. Obviously, we know the gauntlet that we have on the back half, but there were three games we said there are must wins. You need to be 6-0 going into South Carolina. So with that being said, go do it.
Yeah.
It's like it's like from 300, right? Uh, the Leonidas, the Spartan king, says, give them nothing, take from them everything. That's the line where he's got the wall of they're standing in a wall and they've got the Persians all bottled up in the gates of Thermopylae, the hot gates, and he's like, we should give them nothing, take from them everything. That's what OU needs to do tomorrow on Saturday. Give Texas nothing, take from them everything. That's the attitude. If I'm Brent, I'm showing that clip, and that's exactly what OU should do. And again, if Mateer's ready to go, you run with Mateer until it becomes obvious that that it's not working, and then you switch to Mike. Defensively, let's think the OU is basically dominating Texas in 2023 until the defensive depth starts to wear down a little bit, and injuries force us to have to play Key Lawrence at cornerback, and then Texas starts hitting some passing plays. So this year, if you think about it, we've got double depth at almost every position. We've got guys we can roll out and move all over the place to avoid those kind of situations. Shout out to Key Lawrence. Apparently, he's at UCLA now, and he won an award this week for his defensive play. But I didn't know that Key Lawrence was still in college football. But but there you go. So that's what I think. That's where I think OU has the biggest edge is defensive depth and defensive, and we are strongest where they are weakest. And that's just and that's every bit of analysis you get from everybody kind of confirms that. And I think that allows you that allows you to go into this game with some confidence. And I think Mateer, it's hard to quantify the leadership. And this is no knock on Mike at all. I'm not taking a shot at Mike Hawkins here, but it is impossible to quantify the leadership aspect and the just kind of the confidence and moxie that Mateer brings to the team, the total team, from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, look, I'm all for just killing them. I mean, you guys have used two. One's driving stakes through the heart. One's using 300 references. Go get it done. Go get it done. And look,
Yeah.
again, it's wild to think that anybody would believe that Oklahoma doesn't want this just as bad or need this just as bad moving forward. If you go and look, I've heard different people say things, and I don't know that I've ever really believed this. I understood what they were getting at. It's like, well, even if we lose this, we're still in a position where we can go make the playoff. No, you don't. At this point, you don't want to mess around with, their level of confidence and the way that they're playing, right? If you get that, show a chink in the armor, then all of a sudden, who's to say what happens down the stretch? Look, we've seen that go that way with this coaching staff, and and you never know. You can't predict the future on what may happen down the line on anybody. You know what I mean? You could lose players. There's going to be things that, look, my feelings have been, and up until this point, and I'm kind of getting my mind around it at this right now. My feeling has been that we've got tougher games down the stretch than what Texas should be, because as Steven told us the other day, Texas,
they could not move people on the goal line versus UTEP.
I mean, that's a problem for them, right? In the end,
we have two better offenses coming up.
Three better offenses coming up.
Well, two better offenses coming up in October.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in October, and then falling over into just the beginning of November. Ole Miss and Tennessee seem to have better passing games, better offenses, and better deep threats, and this seems to be the only chink in the OU defensive armor. Seems to be big plays downfield. I mean, and I guess it's a little bit, well, you can't just legitimately be strong everywhere on defense, so that's just impossible. I mean, I guess it's theoretically possible, but overall, there's always going to be one element that's a little below the others. So, yeah, there's teams coming up, and then you've got Alabama, and then we'll see what Missouri is this weekend. And then we've got and I'm not sure what's left of LSU by the time they're rolling to Norman. That game's could be radically different than what we thought preseason. But to just get back to Texas, because I know Chris doesn't like us going too far ahead on our previews.
You can't look ahead thinking that. What you can't do is go ahead thinking, we can afford to lose a game. You can't afford to lose anything. And just like what Sooner Races, you don't really have a margin for error. When you look at this back half, and I mean, everybody else will tell you, you don't have to say it. Everybody else will say it for you. It's a gauntlet. You've got some tough football teams coming. I don't think that Mizzou is I know that Mizzou isn't what they've looked like coming up. They may be very good, but I don't believe in them. And look, Tennessee will see, Ole Miss will see, Alabama will see. I mean, Alabama is playing the best out of everybody right now. That would be my feeling. But the other thing I would say is you can't take any of it for granted. And if you have, no matter what, if you have a chance to go step on their neck and twist and get them out of the playoff picture, there's another level of confidence that you get to.
Yeah. Jason, can I do a sidebar real quick? Just a quick sidebar. All right, I'm gonna put this comment up here. Our guy Rock, he says, Chris, are we getting a Red River Shootout pod collab with Fanatic Perspective this year? Guys, the ball is on their side of the court. I mean, we don't hide from the smoke, but that invitation or that pod hasn't been set up like it normally is. So we'll just leave it there. We'll just leave it there. But
one more day in between now and Saturday.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm just letting you guys know. Just be up there. But no, regardless of that, though, I wanted to answer his. But
it's funny to me that they wouldn't have done that. I mean, since we're on the sidebar, I just remember the last couple of years of such cockiness out of Steven. You know what I mean? And
just out of everything on the Texas side, period. I mean, I've beef with a lot of them. Steven and Nick, they're my guys, but it just I think things just are
guys. I love it.
A sour note right now. Anyways, what I would
UTEP.
What I would say, just kind of going back to you guys' points, like, look, yeah, every game is important on the schedule. Trust. I already know next week I will be coming back. I am confident that we're going to win this game. But next week I will be coming back and I will be telling you two, hey, this game is more important than the Texas game. Why? Because South Carolina could easily be our UCF, right? Team that's kind of struggling, has some injuries, has some different things along the way. They have a gauntlet just as much as we do these next couple of weeks. LSU this weekend, which is not going to be a good out for them because hell, they got to go to Baton Rouge, so we'll see how that goes. And then also they got us, and then after that, they have a pretty heavy gauntlet as well. Regardless, though, at the end of the day, it's only one way to find out. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you could come back against Texas, you've only missed one game against Kent State or whatever the case may be. It is what it is. What you got to do is got to give him reps. You got to go see if he needs another week, if he sees another 2 weeks. This is a perfect opportunity to go do that. This is the perfect window. But at the same time, don't get it twisted. I expect Mateer to play. I think all of us expect Mateer to play, but I would not be surprised if we went out there and saw Mateer warming up. Everything is going fine. It's looking good. And then boom, they sweep the rug right underneath our feet and play Hawkins. So you can never tell what's going to happen with this crew. I mean, they are tight-lipped. They try to be as tight-lipped as possible, and they keep a lot of things on the play. Because again, being there at the game, I fell for it. 2022. Dillon Gabriel had a concussion against TCU.
Yeah.
Comes out there and is throwing the ball, pads, everything, hyping people up, going through the whole motions, the whole 9 yards. I tweet out, hey, man, something's in the air. I feel like Dillon's going to play. We're going to have a good day, people. People retweeting it, people liking the message, everybody. Man, we were so excited. All of a sudden, Davis Belleville rolls out there and can't complete a 5-yard an out route, right? A 5-yard out route. So, I mean, the thing is that you never know with the staff, but regardless, though, again, I expect Mateer to play, and I expect Mateer to go put on a show and let everybody know, Joel Klatt, we're looking at you. Not only is OU a top 10 team, and they deserve to be in the top 10 and higher than you listed them, but also this guy right here is definitely playing Heisman like. I don't know what Mendoza is doing because they haven't really played anybody. Nobody cares. Nobody really respects Illinois the way that they probably should. But on the other hand, just to crown Dante Moore, I mean, that kind of just shows that you're, Big 10, Big 12 bias, right? So
First off, to crown those guys when they have never won a thing.
mhm.
I mean, and first of all, the next time, I mean, he beat Ohio State in the first game of the first time they played last year, and then got skull drug in the Rose Bowl. So the next time that he wins a really big game, and I'm not going to give him Penn State because they turned around and lost to freaking UCLA a week later. So he may have snorted up the 20-yard line, but shit, it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, they lose all the time to real teams. The only ones that haven't have been Michigan and Ohio State the last few years because they had. What did they have? They had a bunch of experience. Oklahoma's got as much experience in returning production as anybody in the country. They're right up there with in the top 10 returning production. And you've got a quarterback that's got more experience than pretty much everybody else in the SEC. It's, about the same amount as Nussmeier. But, I mean, and he's kind of on, and he's just better than Sellers. I'm sorry. He's just better than Sellers. So, in the end, that has a lot to do with it. Look, you got to go out there and get it done this week. And I think that the way it sets up, as I said, look, if Florida is able to get home with 4 rushers, never blitzing, never getting, in a +1 or a -1 situation defensively with having to send anybody on the blitz, what the hell do they think that Oklahoma's going to do?
With better edge rusher in Rar Mason Thomas and OU. I'll give Miami, Ruben Bain and Mesidor as a duo, but I don't think anybody has better interior defensive tackles than OU. Mm-hmm. There may be teams that can put 2 edge rushers out there that are better than R. Mason Thomas and our number 2 guy, and and Ruben Bain, almost was a Sooner. If we could have just hired away his cousin from Miami's support staff, Ruben Bain could be the guy across from R. Mason Thomas. I just think, this is what Gabe Eichert was saying, on the O line stuff. He's just, where they're weak, we're really, really strong.
Correct. I said that before earlier today too. Very.
And that's a bad matchup to have with the fact that our defensive tackle guys only seem to be getting better game over game. And then you've got Dom.
They're on a complete upward trajectory, all of them. And
Yeah.
and we've been talking a lot about Stoney. We've been talking a lot about Jaden Jackson since last year. But Dominic Williams has played fantastic. Grayson Halton has been fantastic.
Slow start to his injury, but now he's going, right? I mean, his first couple of games he was working up. Now he's going.
Right.
Marcus Strong is playing well.
Yes. And I mean, everybody that seems to come in gets a sack. You know what I mean? So they've had them all in there, and I mean, from edge to edge and everything in between, they've been dominant. And if you go back and you look at, okay, you're going to tell me that this Texas offensive line is better than Michigan? We know that's not the case. We know it's not the case, and they can do anything.
Michigan can run the ball. I mean,
no. And that's the other thing that they have a problem with. Their running back situation is not good. They've got Baxter listed as doubtful. I saw Wisner was limping off the field a couple of times in the last game.
Yeah, everybody's pointed that out because when he scored that touchdown, he was grabbing his hammy. Can we expand a little bit on these X's and O's real quick before we jump into our predictions?
Yeah, man.
Definitely, Chris. Give us some X's and O's.
I think the biggest thing, man, for us, just watching that in the weeds, just kind of refreshing my memory of some of the plays they ran against not only Ohio State, but also Florida, right? Two big things are going to be key for us. First and foremost, we already know the offensive line, defensive line, that would take care of itself. But the plays where Arch Manning does have time, we're going to need really good safety plays simply because Sark runs those long developing routes. And sometimes he's sitting guys, especially in the middle of zones, especially when they get behind the chains. I'm talking about like any type of third and long, 3rd and 7 or further, right? They're stressing those safeties. It's kind of it's Lincoln Riley like, people. It's to where if you watch the end of Weeds or if you watch the Florida game, you saw it. That play that they connected with, who was it? Wingo, I think, down the middle of the field. That was an interesting play simply because he just came open. Whenever those safeties just spread, it was almost like the Red Sea getting parted. He was wide open down there, and Arch had a window. So those are things that you're going to have to look out for. That secondary is going to have to play, and usually the secondary is pretty good against Texas, but it's some of those cash plays they have. Second play that I would say that caught my eye, just some of the things they want to do with Parker Livingstone. Right? They try to make him. Parker Livingstone, honestly, he may be their best athlete at wide receiver. I mean, Wingo, obviously, but he may be up there as far as just being an asset. He's 6'4", legit 6'4", and a kid that can go up there and he can get those 50-50 balls. Kind of, when I see him, I think Shipley a lot of times. I don't know. Either way, that play that he got hurt on, that was a nice play. That was it looked like the Lincoln shallow knife play. If you know that shallow cross where they cross and all of a sudden he starts stuttering and then boom, just jetted upstream. And once he got up the field, I mean, he was wide open. So it's things like that our linebackers and whoever's at that second level can't get caught on. But I think obviously Kendall Dobie, Kendall Daniels, they're playing cheetah if they get lined up against him kind of in the slot or anywhere like that. I think our DBs and just that cheetah position, I think that'll be key as well. So it's things like that you have to watch out for, some of those nuances, because you know that at some point they're going to run a reverse play, but you also know that they're going to run some type of fake pitch, fake reverse, fake this or whatever, and then Arch pops up and is throwing the ball 30 yards down the field. Get what I'm saying? After that, again, like I always say, half of it is getting through Sark's script and making him call a full 4-quarter game. The other half is you gotta sit on the cute stuff. All the reverses, all the screens, especially that dumbass running back screen that they love to run. You gotta sit on that stuff. You take that stuff away, and you take him out of his comfort zone, make it a game to where he has to, 1, call plays all game long, and 2, once he gets on the goal line, he has to play just as much of a guessing game as you do. You do those things, that spells success. But you have to take away the cute finesse plays that he loves to run and make him call a straight up game. I don't think that this is a game where you have to go and blitz a lot or pressure like you did in the Auburn game. I think this is a game where you can send 4 and 5 most of the time. That's my thoughts. But again, people, I say it every single year. You got to take away the cute stuff. You take away the cute stuff, make him work further than that script, call a 4-quarter game, and you take away some of those plays down the field that he wants to run, especially on those long developing plays or whatever, when those routes are more are 15 plus yards and he's trying to get down the field on some chunk plays. You take that stuff away right there, you're going to be able to rush 4 or 5 by themselves, simply because you're going to get coverage sacks. Why? Arch likes to hold onto the ball a little bit too long, and he will stare people down. So that being said, I know that sounds like a lot, but in my mind, just watching Texas this year, seeing some of the things that we've done, and some of the teams that we played, especially when you go to the, wasn't necessarily a sack party against Michigan, but it was against Auburn, and there was a reason, because he held the ball. But Bryce Underwood, he held the ball an awful lot too. Wasn't sure what the picture looked like after the ball was snapped. So I expect BV to bring a lot of those different things and actually disguise everything we talked about that he would do the first and second year. I think this year he's really going to be able to do that, because more guys than just Billy and Danny understand the defense. Everybody understands that defense now.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, on the other side of the ball, where do you think OU would? I've obviously, like you, I've seen the Oklahoma breakdown stuff. Where do you think OU could make? If you had to guess, I'll get, maybe this is subject to our predictions, but if you had to guess, who is our surprise offensive player that Mateer and Arbuckle perhaps take a little more advantage of in this game against Texas? Who would you put money on?
Everything in me is screaming to say odd, but in my mind, I'll be honest with you, I think the safest pick, maybe y'all like it, maybe y'all don't, I think it's Satania. I think Satania is a guy where if everything goes smooth and the blocks line up, let me rephrase that. So I'm going to pick Satania. And I'll tell you who's a smarter choice, though. But I'm going to pick Satania because I think on some of those jailbreak screens and different things they want to run for him, some of the little crossing routes or whatever, I think this is a game where he can get into space. I think Keontae and Burks are going to make work, especially if they run any zone or try to run any kind of crazy man, because those stick routes and all the rest of that stuff are going to be there as quick hitches and everything, just for us to dink and dive and move down the ball. The smarter choice, to be honest with you, just watching, Texas play, seeing kind of what they want to do, especially when they pull Anthony Hill out there. Obviously, it's one person, it's Kanik. I mean, that's probably the safest choice. I think Kanik, this is a game here, especially if Mateer is back and Mateer is healthy and Mateer can go, Kanik can eat a lot against this Texas defense, simply because he could be the X factor as far as creating matchup nightmares for them.
It's a lot too.
Yep.
Absolutely. He's a matchup nightmare for everybody. That's where, and I've heard this a lot from, you've been hearing it from throughout, Oklahoma content creators all the way around for the last few weeks. Feature the guy. He's not a second read or a third read. Feature him on some plays. You got to do it. And I think that because he's going to be the guy that can get open and he knows where he needs to sit down, he'll be a pain in the ass for Anthony Hill in a way that nobody else probably would. Absolutely. I'm with you on that, man. It's time to cut him loose and let him be the weapon that we know that he's looking like at this point.
Trey Moore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if he gets put out there at outside linebacker or whatever, any linebacker that gets put on Kanik, that's gonna be a doozy. And the whole thing is that if you can take them away and put them out there in space, that would give him more of a running start to be able to block even better than he would just kind of having them basically rush off the end. So.
Yep. I'm gonna beat the brakes off these guys. Hey, they're melting down. They're melting down.
Well, let's jump into our predictions. I don't think we need to review Kent State stuff at all, right? Let's just move on.
No, We're not. Well, and I took that out of the play. I took that out of the play. So
So
before let's do that. Let me get it. Game prediction. Okay. All right. So obviously coming in, let me get rid of that deal. Leading rusher, two of us with Torrey Blaylock, one with Jaden Knott. Talk to us a little bit more about what your thoughts are about Jaden Knott there. Okay, Chris.
Man, to be honest with you, I think he gets into the game, and I think that he finds a rhythm. I'm not expecting him to have 100 yards or whatnot, but I'm expecting him to be able to move the football and just some of those different holes or whatnot. His vision is different than everybody else's on the roster thus far during this season. But I think he's a guy that can potentially get in there. Some of those swing passes, different things that supposedly they're fine with us doing. He's a guy that can make you pay. I think that he's a guy that could get in there and potentially be somewhat of a difference maker for us. I think that he could not going to be a bruiser like that guy, but can kind of be what Ty Wee was in this game. This is a perfect game for him to do it. It always seems like there's one or two players out of everybody who just steps up and plays really well that you weren't expecting, right? So I think he's one of those guys I would put in that category.
Obviously, we just talked about Kanik a little bit on the leading receiver stuff, and I think that would be ideal for Oklahoma starting off, and in whichever quarterback were to play, as we know, that's a great safety valve for those guys to have a tight end that can catch it and get some yardage, and knowing what he knows about it. But I still think that another big time X factor type of guy, Giovanni Gibson, you get him in space. He's gonna eat up chunks of yards. I'd love, and I think Isaiah Satania, I think it's a perfect pick there as well because he's looked like the best player on the field lately. He seems really healthy. I love it. I think any of the three of these guys, it's kind of hopeful for Giovanni. I think that once he gets his feet under him, it could happen at any point. But why not now? Why not now is why.
Well, he's physically a mismatch, right? UT's cornerbacks aren't big. They're pretty good, but they're not big guys. And Giovanni's 6'3", 210, something like that, easily. So he could. I mean, the Dallas Wilson kid's big, right?
Yeah.
The Florida kid.
Very similar, and a lot of people have said stuff like CeeDee Lamb. Very similar to that height and that ability to. The quickness that he has, being able to change direction. There's not a lot of guys that you see at that size that can do that.
Yeah, so I mean, Gibson's as close to like Dallas Wilson as we have on the squad, I think.
No doubt.
I mean, if you want to just run and Wilson just kind of, trucked and walked over that poor Texas cornerback on that 50-yard touchdown play. So maybe Gibson does something similar.
I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening. All right. Will either quarterback, and I just had it as Sooners because we weren't sure until right before it's popped up.
We're still not sure, but yeah.
Sooners pass for 300 yards. I don't know that they do, but I don't know. I feel like there's going to be more scoring than what a lot of people are thinking that there is. Obviously, you can see what we say at the bottom there, but my opinion is that you're looking at a situation where maybe they don't. They might get the running game going, but I feel like I think I'm the only one that said there's going to be a defensive touchdown. Maybe no, Chris, you did too, Chris Mason. I feel like a 300 yards. I think it's going to be close to that, very much so. Right?
I think our running game jab generates. It's a jab. It's not your main boxing offensive weapon, right? But it's just enough. We get just enough out of the running game from Ott and Blaylock and whatever quarterback's playing to give us enough rushing yards to just eat clock.
I'll second you on that. I believe that you're probably right. The more I've thought about this and going back into what we've seen this year, when you look at what this Oklahoma defense did against a better offensive line in Michigan and shutting down the run, and then you look at what at the end of the game, using the jab, as you said, Listen, you're not going to change your stripes at this point in the season. You got to go with who brought you to the dance. So go
Yeah.
ahead. But at the end of that Michigan game, we had them worn down to the point that you were able to go on a 9.5-minute run with a lot of run play and go and punctuate the win, get it done.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with you. I think that you could. I think you're going to have some. I think you're going to have some success in the passing game as well. But I also think that you're liable to look. We're expecting this dam to break at any point. They kind of they popped the cherry last week on turnovers. Why not go ahead and get a big run of them now? I could see that happening as well, especially when you're getting a lot of pressure on a rookie quarterback.
Well, and Satenya also was flashing. I mean, there were hidden yards in Satenya's punt return game against Kent State, right?
Yeah,
He had what 85 yards of punt return, something like that.
no, 90-something yards. Yeah,
Yeah. So there's some hidden yards there. So the yardage per game, guys, whoever you are, you may be disappointed in this game because, like you said, we could get, you could get some short fields. Satenya could make a couple of key returns that set up some drives. So I think it was a little back to a little extra. I think Texas can be pretty conservative for a lot of this game, right? Because they can't afford to be making a lot of mistakes and falling behind. Because then you put yourself in Brent's hands to get crushed. So I think Texas will be maybe the scripted plays has some gadget stuff and his early script, but I think overall we may see Texas just try and rely on their defense to keep them in a one possession type of game. So I think they could be running a lot of clock. We're not going to see a lot of no huddle from either team.
Yep. What do you got to add, Chris? Mr. K. Chris.
No, I was just going to say keep going. I agree with Chris Mason.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I think OU gets a defensive touchdown. Like Jason, I think something happens and it could be late, it could be early, and then Texas kind of goes into a shell because they're like, look, we can't keep giving up points and space. So I think OU gets a defensive touchdown in this game.
Yeah, and it could come early too, or at least a turnover early. If you remember back 2 years ago, it's the first thing that happened. Quinn throws a pick on the first pass,
and last year he threw a pick on early too. So
yeah,
I could see Texas giving up an early defensive touchdown to OU, and then they kind of pull back their horns, so to speak, to use a bad pun, and just try and desperately keep it close. Just doing everything to try and keep it close.
Yeah, no doubt. Do they have a special teams touchdown? None of us think that they do, but would it surprise you? No, not the way Isaiah Sateng has been running and the way he's been playing all the way around.
And Texas had a shaky punting game against Florida, right?
They did.
They got a block that should have been a touchdown, ended up being a safety. So,
yep.
But it doesn't look like we quite have our blocking on returns down to spring Satenya completely yet.
Yeah, and I don't know. Okay, Chris, I'll let you talk about this offensive play over 50 yards, but my feeling was that I've been saying this a lot. That's not an elite defense over there. They have not shown to be an elite defense, and they allowed a team that was ranked 106th in rushing to run the ball down their throat. I think a 50-yard offensive play of over 50 yards isn't that far-fetched.
This is a game where I think some of the things that Arbuckle has been wanting to run, I think that works. I think that he can get back to kind of some of the things that, again, popped off the screen, jumped off the screen whenever you put on the Washington State tape. I think that this is a game here where you're saying some of those sideline throws, some of those long throws that Chris Mason was talking about last week. I think this is a game where that could happen. At the same time, this could be a game where some of those crossing routes or some of those hitches, you turn and you're probably getting upfield for a while. You got to remember, people, Texas DBs like to cheat. So they'll come up there and show you that they're going to press as John Mateer is instructing everybody, calling the play, getting everything set up, maybe audibly out of that play into something different. those Texas DBs, especially on the outside towards the boundary, they like to creep back. They like to play close and then give you a cushion right there as the ball is being snapped. So it's one of those things where I think that this could be a game where we could break one pretty big, or we could hit them down the sideline as well. I think this is one of those plays where you could do that. You could probably, and be honest with you, you may be able to hit Kanik up the seam for on a couple of seam routes. It just depends on uh,
Absolutely.
how Arbuckle wants to scheme today. But
I'd really love to see, since we have still in 4 years now have yet to see this jet sweep have a vertical element. I'd love that vertical element to be Kanik up the seam and they pop it over the top.
yeah,
Show it, and because nobody believes in it. Nobody believes that they're, sheesh. I don't know why you wouldn't have done that by now, but great time to do it. Great time to do it. You know what I mean? All right.
Yeah.
Does OU hold Texas under 300 yards? I don't think there's a doubt in it. The other people that think that Texas is going to score in the 20s, I question why. And I've got a bunch of score predictions that I'm going to post up on a video. I'm going to pop out in the morning before I leave. But to me, I think it's wild to expect that Oklahoma's given up 36 points so far, and they're going to give up in the 20s to this Texas team that has a bad offensive line. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see that. I mean, that's why I went with my defensive MVP being David Stone because of their guard problems, and I think Stone just might live in the backfield because he's on a heater. He might just live in the backfield all day on Saturday.
They're both going to live there, right? I think
and Grayson Halton and Dom, they're all gonna eat. They're gonna eat inside, and we're gonna be able to rotate our guys as well, so they're fresh. So that's why I went with D Stone. But it seems like K. Chris had the same thoughts, and I think Jaden Jackson is just the flip side of the same elite looking coin, right? It's like you're gonna have to, if you're trying to double Stone, you're leaving Jackson one-on-one, and he's been eating people alive doing that so far this year. If you're doubling Jackson, then Stone's going to beat the other guy. So I don't know what your options are.
Your poison. Yeah.
Yeah, what your options are. So I went with Kanik because I think he breaks through and gets a couple of. I think he's the touchdown maker in this game.
He could be, but if he is and Mateer's playing, and I had picked this before, I figured he was going to play. I think John Mateer, there's no way that they don't make him the offensive MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I think, with the broken thumb, kind of win one for the Gipper, kind of, echoes of it. Yeah, I mean, it's the who's the Knicks guys at Willis Reed?
Yeah,
the Knicks guy with the broken leg in like the 70s.
Yeah,
that played a playoff.
Player, the Blue, he was one with the Bullets.
I think he coached the Bullets. But he was with the Knicks. He was with the Knicks when he did this whole 1970s legend, Jordan, maybe for better reference, Jordan flu game, something like that.
Well, you forgetting the best one, Chris Mason. Bird coming out of the tunnel, that dove flying out. What we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now.
All right, man. So, all right. So my score is a little weird. When I thought this was going to be Mike Hawkins in the game, I just thought that that this was going to kind of echo kind of a 2001 OU game where Jason White has to come in for Hibble. Two elite defenses, two offenses kind of struggling. Chris Sims playing the role, the initial role that Arch is kind of filling, a little bit there. So I went with 2017. I'm not quite sure how you get to 2017 with some of the other stuff I've talked about, but I think it's depending upon how things go, it's a little bit of a rock fight. The refs, kind of keep it, refs call, we don't get the holding calls we should. The refs kind of, let Texas get away with holding all day, and they muck around and get some points. And in the fourth quarter, though, our defense shuts them down, and we put together a drive to get a couple of first downs and go in, and Mateer bootleg for the final first down, and then we're in victory formation and win 20-17.
Okay. Yeah, listen, you got it a little closer there. You want to talk about that a little bit, K. Chris? What's your score prediction?
24-13. I think that is a perfect score. I think that we can hold them to 13 points. I think that we can score around about
It's a very Michigan Auburn kind of score, isn't it?
yeah. So I think we could score around about somewhere between 20 to 24 points this game. I think that Sandell will be called on at times. I think that we can stretch the lead. I think we'll get the touchdowns that we need here and there.
Yeah. Well, I don't see a scenario that I think Texas is scoring a touchdown. Really, to be honest with you, I've got it at 28-3. I've been saying it all week. I know a lot of things can happen in this game. I think that if they score, it would be like a defensive touchdown. I don't see that really happening.
Short field, maybe a short field.
Something like that, maybe. But to me, it's one of those deals where Oklahoma's going to eat, and they're going to eat early. You know that they're gonna send the house at him early on and try to get him rattled. I mean, look, I feel like you probably do get an early pick, especially and look, this is Arch's first run into that place, and I get it that it's Mateers as well, but there's a difference there. It's not the same thing. If you think it's the same thing, you're kind of nutty. But I feel like the way we've seen things go, I don't know how any Texas fan could be that confident in what's about to happen, right? I just don't see it. So, I mean, I'll ride with it. I'm gonna be there, and I mean, I'll be back whenever.
I like your scores more than my scores. So,
Yeah.
it was initially, it was more of, I threw it up Tuesday night when I was a little unsure about where things were going. So, it's the Texas game. It just weird shit happens.
It does, but I'll tell you something though. There was a long time there when Oklahoma had defenses, during the Stoops era early on, that they blew them out.
Oh no! I mean, I think
this is the kind of team that could do that, and I mean, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be a ton of scoring from your offense. I think that you could potentially see multiple defensive touchdowns.
Or set up with short fields or things along those lines. Yeah, I think there's a wide range. I went through a wide range of scores before I settled on that one.
Yeah.
No,
I get it. I'm just saying. I mean, could I see it being a close game and being 2017? Sure. Why not? I mean, it's the Red River. You could see that, but you could also see this turning into, a snore fest at halftime. I really do.
If OU can get up,
I've been to one of those games before.
Yeah. If OU can get up and force, as K. Chris says, and force him off script, and they have to aggress, and UT can't just conservatively just try and rope a dope, hang around, and has to start putting the ball in play, make more risky plays, then I think that's the path towards OU getting a comfortable fourth quarter lead, and with Texas kind of just. Texas just kind of, they just offensively they're not able to do anything, and their turnovers are, and they just kind of, let's just get out of town. Let's just get out of the Cotton Bowl and move on, right? We need to. Texas has a couple of. They got some easier games before they have some of their difficult games. I could see where your score becomes. It's 17-0 at halftime, and then OU just puts the clamps on them, gets a couple of turnovers, puts more points on the board, and Texas is just like it's mentally over.
Right. And Duty Price, the Texas fan in here, is saying they're confident as AF. Yeah, buddy. Except for people like Steven from Fanatic Perspective.
They could not move people on the goal.
Versus UTEP, buddy.
I mean, you just got your ass kicked by Florida, a team that was in complete disarray before you played them.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel confident.
I'm with you.
I mean, you've not beat a Power 4 football team. Now, we've beat Michigan and Auburn, and maybe they are not the powerhouses we think, but they're at least Power 4 football teams. And I'd probably take Illinois State against anybody Texas beat non-conference.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably take Illinois State over any of those guys.
I think that, and again, I think that this football team is built a little bit different, and they are motivated in another way than what you've seen in the past.
Yeah. Well, before I wait for Chris to come back so we can do our picks.
Yeah, I'm gonna run a commercial here real quick that I think you guys like.
I'm here.
But before you do that, Jason, don't you think maybe this is confirmation bias, and I'm just seeing what I want to see, but don't you think Brent looks more relaxed and happier being DC just on the coaches shows and the stuff I see? He just seems more maybe winning solves all else. Maybe that's whatever, just pure it is. But he just seems happier, a little more jokey, a little more, just a little more aggressive, a little more, well, I'm good at it. I'm good at it, just a little bit more.
And these guys, and so is the team. They've taken on the same attitude. These guys are not.
Yeah, don't you think that's he seems just a little more confident than last year and the years before, that he's just like, look, I'm going to do my stuff, and I'm going to hire a DC that needs to do their thing. I mean, I know OC that needs to do their thing, but overall, I got my guys on defense. I got Goodwin. The Dreiling hire seems to be clicking, and the other guys are all his long-term guys. He just seems happier, a little more confident, maybe just a little more cocky, arrogant, happy, arrogant to create an adjective there. He just seems a little more happy, arrogant.
Yeah. Listen, and that's how you want Brent Venables to be. If you're an OU fan, this is what you should love. Look, there's definitely a different aura coming out of that thing. Certainly from last year, but
yeah,
even from the 10-2 year that you missed it. There was times that they looked shaky, and I know that still freaks people out today, and I hate to even bring it up. But look, that's not the attitude we're seeing coming out of these guys. No,
you see Kobe McKenzie, and he's like, yeah, Brent ripped the crap out of us for the Kent State game,
and he almost smirked about it. He thought
he was like, yeah, he should have, and he should have. We played like crap. He didn't say that, but that was kind of the aura he was feeding back. Like, well, of course he did that. We played like crap. So I don't know. That's just something. That's something off. Just an aside. It just seems like Brent. And as you said, I think the team's kind of feeding off it.
100%, I agree. Okay, Chris, anything before we go to this commercial and then into our picks?
I think he's handling some
baby business.
I think perhaps that might be the issue. But
all right, well,
let's see your commercial.
We're going to go into the pick 5. So as we do, let's shout out our sponsor, MyBookie. When you start seeing stuff like this on Twitter, you know what time it is. That's right. It's Red River Shootout Week. And while Vegas still thinks Texas should be the favorite, I'm sitting here grinning.
Texas, college football's new Alabama.
Because anybody who's actually watched the Longhorns knows that offensive line couldn't block a Twitter troll.
They could not move people on the goal line versus UTEP.
And both their Power 4 games this season, losses. Meanwhile, Oklahoma's rolling with the best defensive line in America, so I'm doubling down. 2 straight moneyline bets on my Sooners to beat Texas outright, and pairing one of them with Alabama -3.5 on the road at Missouri in a clean little 2-leg parlay. You can ride with me over at MyBookie. And when you sign up through hofmedia.us/mybookie1000, they'll hook you up with a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's free money to put where your mouth is. You can bet anything, anytime, and anywhere with Hall of Fame college football and MyBookie. And guess what? When OU goes down there and handles business in the Cotton Bowl this weekend, we're going to start calling it what it is, the Red River Payday. Come on now. All right. Make sure you sign up at my bookie. You can do it at hofmedia.us/mybookie1000 and get that deposit bonus. You could also refer your friends and get $200 a pop. So check it out. Do all that. We're going to go into our my bookie pick 5. Let's take a look at last week. I took it on the chin, folks. Yeah, not good. Not good. So I fell further behind, and I'm only a couple ahead of K. Chris, who had a big week at 4-1.
A lot of momentum, man. A lot of momentum. The Houston pick is still I don't really understand what I was doing there, but still, big week, man. Big week.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Now, this week, look, this is a nice slate of games right here going on. I mean,
and I could have picked 3 more too, easily.
And we probably should have. And I was trying to get some stuff done to add in all the Sooner OU picks, but you guys will have to wait till the morning for that one. I'll pop that up there and do a quick little preview before I hit the road. Oklahoma and Texas, we all got the Sooners, man. We told you why. We already said it. This Bama-Mizzou game, I think I was kind of surprised that nobody picked Mizzou, but I'm not really that surprised because as I've been telling everybody, I don't believe in them. They haven't played anybody with a damn pulse yet. And Bama is playing better than anybody in the country right now, especially on the offensive side of the ball. If they could go into Georgia and win, I don't have a problem believing that they'll go beat Dorky Drink and, the Tigers.
I'm still remembering KU putting up, 31 points in 3 quarters?
Yeah.
And we know Ty Simpson and the Bama offense has more punch than KU.
Yeah. And Moneyline Mateer cash in on that. He could, but probably shouldn't. All right. So Indiana at Oregon. Nobody decided to take Indiana. Was anybody close to taking Indiana?
Yeah, just to see if I can pick up a point on you guys. I mean, only total take the points. I don't think they're beating Oregon, but I was just. If I'd seen we were so in sync here, I would have chosen Indiana.
Yeah, I almost did. Just for the simple fact that, Oregon doesn't always win these games, but they're at home. They should win it. I still don't believe in Indiana, so I feel like that's going to happen. Michigan at SC. Look, I took SC here because of USCJ. He was on me about it. He was telling me that they're going to win. I don't know that I buy into it, but I was trying to get a point back here. Knew both of you guys were going to go with Michigan. I think they struggle to stop the run, but Jaden Mayava is playing very well. If they can get that offense going, and they are at home,
their best tackle is out.
Yeah.
USC's center and tackle are out. So.
Oh, well, that's great news.
Michigan, obviously, Barham and is it Derek Moore? Yeah, Derek Moore. Talking about should have been Sooners. I think those guys are going to get after Maivia a little bit, and watching Illinois run all over USC, I'm having a hard time thinking.
Yeah.
Justice Haynes and the Marshall kid aren't going to have big days.
Yeah, I think I may make a change here as we're speaking about it. So we're going to go with Michigan here. I'm going to flip that to Michigan, just so we know. And I'm saying it before the game, so y'all don't, it is what it is. All right. The final one. Is Auburn capable of winning this game just because it's at – I know everybody keeps telling us how it's haunted at Jordan-Hare. I think that they've been haunted.
But is Deuce McKnight starting?
What's that?
Is Deuce McKnight starting for Auburn?
I don't think so.
Well, then they're not going to win.
No.
I hate it for the kid,
Look at this. Look who showed up.
See,
He's on the milk carton, you little weak sauce girly girl.
Oh my God. He's saying we faked a thumb injury?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Who gets thumb surgery in place? Are you crying, Bevo? Are you crying? Oh, buddy.
Do we have anybody that can provide a mental health care check on him? Wellness check?
But just remember that, Steven says
They could not move people on the goal line versus UTEP.
you guys are fucked. So fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see how Arnold won't just do what he's done the last 2 games against good
Afraid
competition.
to throw it. Afraid to throw it.
Afraid to throw it, and then, Georgia's got a little more juice on offense with Stockton than they had, I think, last year, and their running game is getting a little better. So, to me, it's another 24-13 kind of game. I mean, it's just rinse, repeat. This is how Auburn's going to lose football games. Their defense plays well, and their offense falls short and doesn't put enough points on the board because Jackson just doesn't take advantage of their guys to make enough big plays.
No doubt.
I think if you're an Auburn fan, you're about to watch the world's worst sequel, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, same game over again. This will be the game you'll get, over and over again. So that's why I asked about Deuce McKnight.
This may be the game that catapults that D line for Georgia to really start turning it on. Maybe they get some confidence after getting a few sacks this game.
Yeah, because it's the Auburn O-line isn't as good as we thought, and Slash Jackson's just going to hold the ball or throw picks. I mean, one of the two things is going to happen, or he's going to be pretty generous to the UGA secondary. So,
and he won't throw it to do that. I mean, that's the thing. You have to
right. He's afraid to make the play. So
it was worse. It was worse against A&M because he refused to throw the ball.
Well, and we gave A&M the script on the script of what to do, right? Like, this is what you need to do. So, I mean, maybe at home he'll play different. I mean, he didn't do that as a Sooner, so maybe
Flying just to beat Texas.
Yeah, so it's okay, all right.
Smell the hurt from here.
Yeah. Is there any other game we didn't put on the list that you guys would like to just throw out a quick prediction about?
It's time, man. It's time. Y'all know what time it is. I need to go to sleep because I'm jumping on the road early tomorrow, people. Hey,
Illinois, I could see them covering that, but I don't know. I struggle to believe it.
If any of you are at the game or whatnot, or at the fair or whatever, hit me up. I think Jason's going to be there too, so definitely hit us up. We'll be around.
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Folks, appreciate everybody coming in, except for the Shorthorn crybabies. But hey, thanks for coming in anyway. Make sure you hit that like button on all 3 channels. Become a subscriber, all that good stuff. See you all in the next. Calm down, boys. Calm down.
See you on Sunday when we recap